We are live. Welcome to Ep.3 of CinemAsian. We started an hour late due to some technical difficulties, but it's fixed. So today we're going to talk about Ghost in the Shell, which when I first heard the title and understood English, I thought it was a pretty interesting title.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, as you can see with me, my co-host, Joe.
The hellacious one. Thanks, Louis.
Ooh. And before we start, we already have some people in the chat. We have Loe Makikatsu Dove. Hello. We have Adrian. Hello. And we have Stay Puff. Hello, Sean.
What's up, Sean?
What is up in the bud? So we picked three things. We picked the manga. We picked the 1995 awesome anime, and the live action movie from 2017 with Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, yes. Right in the butt. Plug. All right, we're ready to rate it. It's not even Angelina Jolie. So, what was your first introduction to this amazing manga / anime, Joe?
Well, I can remember. I want to say it was probably like I was in junior high school, so we talked about this in previous streams, where I kind of went through this phase where I was discovering anime, and my folks just got like a satellite dish. It was like the newest thing, like satellite. Ooh, it's so cool! And I can remember like we had HBO, and I was like, finally, we get HBO. Yes.
Yeah.
And on HBO, they had Ghost in the Shell on there one night, and I watched. There was like a late night hour. I think it started at like 9 o'clock, and everything after 9 o'clock p.m. over here was like late night stuff. Like Spawn, the animated series, was on that. You could watch that, and then they aired Ghost in the Shell on there, and I watched it, and I was like, that movie was fucking awesome. That was badass, and that was the first time I saw it. And then, obviously, later when I got older and I started getting into more and more Asian culture stuff, I started getting manga. I picked up Ghost in the Shell, and then obviously in 2017 when the movie came out, Scarlett Johansson, I was like, yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That was my intro.
For me, it was a bit different. I have an older brother, and at one point he discovered the anime movies. Especially, he said you have to pay attention to the side on the VHS when it says manga, then it's legit anime.
Mm-hmm.
And the first movie I ever saw was Akira. So the standards were pretty fucking high right away. It's an amazing movie with an amazing soundtrack. It sucks you right in. And then it was either Ghost in the Shell or Street Fighter, the animated movie. But also Ghost in the Shell, like, it was weird. I didn't understand shit. I still don't. But also, just the haunting song that starts, with making a cyborg. It's like, wow, with the choir chanting, and it's like, damn, this is fucking intense, right? And it's one of those songs that will haunt your mind for the rest of your life whenever you think of Ghost in the Shell, at least for me personally. And rewatching it, because it's been a while since I watched it, I was like, damn. And it's also like with a friend of mine who was into anime or still is into anime, he was like, he didn't know the classics like Akira and Ghost in the Shell. So when the live action came out, I was like, let's go see it. And he was like, okay, but I've never seen the live or at least the anime. And I was like, what? You as an anime geek? I think it should be like on the recommendation list of any anime fan. Like, this is the first few movies that you have to see in order to understand anime, like how fucking badass it can be, and how you will notice how it's so influential to so many other movies that you actually have already watched. Like we talked about before, like I said right away, like the fucking Matrix took notes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then you came with a whole shitload of movies that you either want to dive into now or later as an honorable mention. Depends on what you want to do.
Yeah, you know what? Let me show the movies real quick, and I'll briefly just go over them, and then we'll talk more about the movies because I think it kind of ties everything together. And I don't want to kind of like dive into this. I got two games first, actually, two PS4 games. Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. It's about augmentation in humans and robots and cybernetic organisms, just like Ghost in the Shell. Near Automata is about androids that come to save humanity and fight these giant machines. Ghost in the Shell. I mean, the connections are endless. Those are video games. Then you have. I said I wasn't going to talk about this, but I think I'm going to bring it up. Total Recall, the remake with Colin Farrell. The way the society is depicted in this dystopian future stuff harkens to Ghost in the Shell. I mean, it's check this out for the dystopian stuff. It's super, super Ghost in the Shell-esque. That's a word. I just coined it. So, Terminator, Genesis, all the Terminator movies, really big influence, taken from Ghost in the Shell and vice versa. This one in particular, Genesis, because there's this computer program called Genesis that creates cybernetic organisms. I don't want to spoil it because there's like a twist at the end, but it reminds me of Ghost in the Shell. When I saw it, I was like, yeah, Ghost in the Shell. Then obviously some classics. RoboCop, he's pretty much a consciousness inside of a robot. Ghost in the Shell, another remake, right? Same thing. You mentioned Matrix stuff. Totally. iRobot, Will Smith. Yeah. He has a like mechanical robotic arm in the movie. The Borg from Star Trek. Collective consciousness.
I've seen that one.
Yeah, this is just like a collective thing. It's Did you ever see Star Trek First Contact? That movie?
Is it like one of the newer ones?
Nah, it's older.
Oh.
It's like early 90s. Good
I
flick.
don't know the series.
You have to. This is all just Borg episodes from the Star Trek The Next Generation series. It's really sweet. You have to check it out.
Well, give me a library card and I'll check it out.
I said you're welcome anytime. You're welcome anytime. These are like some of my favorite movies ever. This in particular, Blade Runner, is my all-time favorite science fiction movie. Yeah. And then 2049 was really good too, like really fucking good. I loved it. Honka Robotics in the 2017 movie with Scarlett Johansson, Ghost in the Shell, reminded me so much of Tyrell Corporation in the original and Wallace Corporation in 2049, a robotics company that makes robots. Ghost in the Shell, right?
Everything is Ghost in the fucking Shell.
Yeah, and then real quick, I'll run through these real quick. All right, let's do these quick. Bruce Willis in the movie Surrogates. It's about robots that you can like control remotely when you sit in this thing called a STEM chair. You never have to leave your house. You live like directly through your surrogate. You can feel their pleasure. You can feel their pain, but you can never get hurt until you can get hurt. And then there's like this case of FBI agents discovering how people died when their surrogates got destroyed. Really cool movie. It's based on a comic book too, actually. So check it out. Chappie. Okay. Good flick. Ever see that?
I've not seen it. No.
Oh my goodness, you gotta check it out! Another one by the same director of Chappie, Neil Blomkamp, Elysium. It's about transhumanism and these exosuits that they can surgically attach to your body, kind of like enhancements and augments.
Not seen that one either.
Oh my goodness, you better catch up, baby! Woo! Ex Machina with Alicia Vikander. Did you ever see that? Excellent movie.
The one movie I approve with her.
It's excellent. It's excellent. And then obviously the last two, Michael Crichton's original movie, Westworld, the guy who wrote Jurassic Park, fucking amazing movie, and the TV series on HBO that's out there now. Yeah. Westworld. Fucking amazing, especially the first season. If you really want to understand androids and the whole idea that's presented in Ghost in the Shell with consciousness and does artificial intelligence actually have feelings and emotions and do they exist? check out Westworld, check out all those fucking movies because
Hmm.
they are so Ghost in the Shell-esque. If that's a term I can coin right now, yes, that's what they are. But check them out. Amazing.
So, hello, newbie. I apologize again for yesterday for excluding you in the live chat.
Oh my goodness.
Well, it was early morning, and I saw that Lucy was in a live stream, so I was like, Lucy, I didn't know you were live. I was like, sticky eyes still. And I put the phone away. I kept it running, and I hear Newbie's voice in the background during the chat. I was like, oh my God, I didn't even say hi to him. So I went to his Instagram, like, I'm very sorry. I didn't know you were on there too. And ever since then, he's been dicking around. Isn't it also a movie with Charlize Theron?
Yeah, it is. It's a good flick. It's a pretty good flick.
Akira rules.
Akira does rule.
Ew. Fist of the North Star, yes.
Oh my God, I love that line. What does he say in Fist of the North Star? It's one of my favorite lines. He's like, "You can't kill me," and then the guy's like, "You're already dead," and he like explodes. It's like, oh yeah, baby, Fist of the North Star. Animatrix is awesome. Love it.
I can't remember much of it. I do remember that I was playing the video game. But,
the video game was cool for the PS2. I remember that game. That was sweet.
It was such a hype then.
Genesis was good. What's up, baby?
It took me a while to. Yeah, I can understand because I think for a lot of people when they start watching this movie, it's kind of like a slow burn, like okay, like also the one with the new one. What the fuck is the name?
2049.
I mean, I remember that sometimes I felt like, oh my God, this is like becoming a drag, but cinematically, it's so fucking good. So it's definitely a movie that you have to at least watch a bunch of times in order to kind of like understand what the fuck's going on. And of course, in the original Blade Runner, the amazing Rutger Hauer, he passed away, I think 2 years ago. Dutch Bride.
Rest in peace, Rutger. You're amazing. Yeah, he did give himself hair and surrogates. His surrogate actually had hair. It was pretty legit. But he was bald, obviously. Yes, Louis, love Chappie. Such a good flick.
Is it also with the group The Antwoord from South Africa that are in it, or at least the girl?
Yes, it's like a biker gang of people, like a gang of people, and then Hugh Jackman actually plays like the villain. He has like this competing robotic company to go up against these other robots. What happens is that robot Chappie gets abducted, and then they reprogram him. And when they reprogram and restart him, he acts like a little kid, and like the gang, like basically. Teaches him to be human, sort of. Cool dude flip. Check it out.
You were glitching a bit, so I was panicking, like, oh my God, no.
Oh no, please don't tell me. No. Am I still glitching? Am I still glitching?
Now you're okay. So, yeah, I think.
On my side of the stream, everything's good, though. So.
So let's get to business then, huh? So,
yes.
I have to give credit to Joe because I have been trying forever to get back into manga, especially with all the classics. And we started talking about Ghost in the Shell, and really it's like he virtually kicked my ass to like, get the fucking book. He didn't literally said it like that, but it felt like that. So I was like feeling ashamed. So I got it last week, and I still have to finish it because I am at the last chapter. And I was talking about it this afternoon with Joe, and I was like, it's pretty fucking cool. But I don't fucking understand shit because it's so complicated, as we talked about, like it's evolving. It's like Ghost in the Shell. If you really think about it, like, twinning. Everyone is a ghost in a shell when you think about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. We talked about it earlier this afternoon too. I think even what people were just talking about, like when Stay even said like how it took him a while to get into Blade Runner, and you even said like talking about the manga, it's a really cerebral read. Like we talked about it earlier this afternoon. You're not supposed to understand what happens, and I think And you mentioned like why people don't see it like in the top of manga and stuff or anime lists. A lot of it is because it's a really deep thing. Like
Yeah.
sometimes people just want to get entertained. They want a story with an ending that's clear and there's no like loose ends left untied or whatever. And with Ghost in the Shell, you don't get that. With Ghost in the Shell, you get like this really deep cerebral thing that makes you think outside of the box. And it's not like we talked about earlier. It's not supposed to have an ending. It's not supposed to be solved. It's like think about your Ghost in the Shell, like you said, the title. Think about your soul and your mind. Like when you go to sleep at night and you wake up, it's never ending. You're always, as long as you're alive, you don't know what's going to happen. Like the next day is completely different. Like you don't know where you're going to be, what you're going to do, how you're going to do things. And that's exactly what that's about. I mean, it's a really awesome critique on humanity. And sometimes I think the things we take for granted, because you and I talked about it earlier with technology and how it's so like it just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing, and we become so obsessed with it as a society that like it's hard not to separate myself. Like if I leave the house now without my cell phone, I'm like, shit, what am I gonna do? I can't get a hold of anybody, you know? And back then you were like, fuck it, I'll just go around the corner, and if I could, somebody kicks my ass, who cares, you know? I'll call the police later when I get home, right? But let me no, go ahead. You said
well, I wanted to say that, knowing the anime movie and loving it, when I started this book, it felt like a slow burn at first, because I was like, when does the fucking action happen? Like in the movie, as you said, you want the fucking action. But once it got on the roll, and especially when the segment happened with the puppeteer, and he starts explaining things, I was like, all right, like I can read English. You're using words I don't fucking understand, but just in general, I don't know what you're talking about. And you really start to feel like sometimes when you have something on your mind and you want to explain it to someone, but it's like you don't really understand how to explain it.
Yeah.
Like you get it, but you don't, like it's like a whole different language that you're trying to translate in order for yourself to understand it and word it to someone else. That's also with this book. It's just never ending. And especially what we talked about earlier, that the puppeteer, he was created by people, and he's supposed to be like this intelligent thing that collects all kinds of data, but then it started to think for itself, but then it became something scary. But what is the scary thing about it? I mean, we've seen it in so many movies. Is that thing scary, or are the people that created it scary because they allowed it to happen? They wanted it to evolve. So who is really the bad guy in here? A lot of people would think the puppeteer, he's the bad person, but technically he is not.
That's a really good point you said that, because it reminds me of a quote from H.P. Lovecraft. And H.P. Lovecraft said this, and it has nothing to do with robots or anything, but it just has to do with human emotion. And the human emotion that he characterized it as was fear. And the quote he said was, the greatest and strongest kind of emotion for man is fear. And the greatest fear is the fear of the unknown. And that's why these people don't want this thing to grow and change, because they don't know what it's going to do. They don't know what's going to happen. They created it and they're trying to control it, but it doesn't want to be controlled. So like you said, is it really evil because it doesn't want to be a slave to people? Is it really, it wants independence just like every single living thing really wants. Like nobody wants to be locked in a cage or trapped somewhere, or like this AI, for instance, or not even AI, but just like this intelligence, for instance, doesn't want to be put inside of a shell, literally inside of a shell, trapped in a shell, which is basically a human frame, because it just feels like there's so much out there that it can do. It doesn't want to be confined to this basically machine that we are. Like these humans, like we're machines, I mean, we talked about this earlier too, Sona. This stream could go on for like a decade. Because
right?
I mean, even in just the movies and the video games I showed you, that's like a very small sample of even what I have in my collection, let alone the rest of the stuff that's out there. And this is really powerful stuff. And like we talked about, I don't think that's why people really gravitate to it, because it's so deep and it's so like it's literally like a network. It's connected to so much shit that like people are just like, oh, this is too overwhelming. I don't think I can figure this out. Like this is like blowing my mind, and I really don't want to sit here and like study, a manga. I just want to read something for enjoyment. And not that it's not enjoyable, it's really, really complex. And I think it takes a few reads to really, really understand what it's about, and it really makes you think. So that's
Right.
what I love about it. So
We allow a lot of things to happen, also like the system that we are living in, we allow things to happen. We allow this constant repetition that's going on. And then you have these like AI, whatever you want to call it, they already evolved. And they probably even have the answer.
oh yeah.
But just like with us right now in this life, the truth scares people. They don't want to hear it. They rather be fucking mind controlled for the rest of their lives. This movie goes so deep, like in all the conspiracies that you can think of. It's just,
It's amazing.
it's
It's amazing.
amazing.
It's fucking amazing. That's it's that simple. 2 words. Fucking amazing. But you know
Yeah,
what? The thing is, like, the thing that's really cool is, I know we're talking about all three things here. We're talking about the manga by Shiro Masamune, right? We're talking about the movie by, what's his name? The guy who directed it, Okishi. And then the 2017 movie with Scarlett Johansson. They're all different too, though. That's the thing I think is
yeah.
really cool too. Like, the manga is, there's a lot of stuff in the anime movie that's pulled from the manga, but the anime movie in '95 is really, really different than the manga even.
Mm.
And the 2017 movie takes stuff from the movie and the manga, but changes it and puts like twists on it where it's different. I want to say this though: some of the scenes in the 2017 versus the '95 animated were fucking like amazing. And even the ones they changed, like the one scene, there's like 3 big scenes that come to mind that I really fucking love. And the first one that I love is the very beginning in the '95 movie. She has the goggles on and she's like staking out that mission. She dives off the top of the building. She's naked, obviously, because it's an anime. You can see
Mm.
like, her chest and her whole body, and she's diving. And then she puts the thermal optics on where she like basically turns invisible and goes
Yeah.
into the warehouse and starts blowing the people away. And the guys have the briefcases and they drop the briefcase down and there's like the submachine guns in them. Very similar scene in the 2017 version, except it's a little different. It's not the
Mm.
same. Like, they changed it up. She does the thermal optic thing and she busts through the window and she's running the wall, shooting the geisha robots and all the goons. A little different. Another scene that's almost exactly like the movie from '95, the animated, is when the garbage truck guy makes a run for it and he has the thermal optics on and she fights him like in that
Yes.
lake and you can see the cityscape. She does the headbutt, she does the like martial arts moves and does all the same shit that's in the animated movie. And the third scene that's a little different, but it's so awesome because if you watch the animated, then right after it you watch the live action, it's like, oh, they fucking took that from that. It's so cool when they're fighting the spider tank at the end.
Yeah.
And in the animated version, the spider tank hand grabs Major's head and starts squeezing it, and Batu comes and saves her with like this big rocket launcher and saves her, and the tank gets destroyed. But in the 2017 version, they grab Kuze's head, and she saves Kuze by jumping on the tank, and then Batu comes in later after they're laying there. It's like a completely different thing, and the endings are different too. Like, let's talk about. Tell me about the endings. I know you know they're different. What
Mm.
what ending do you prefer? Do you like the '95 ending, or do you like the 2017 version of the way it ends with the melding and all that? What do you think?
I think personally I like the anime ending more because it makes me think. It makes me
Yeah.
want more. It makes me very curious. Whereas the 2017 it became kind of like a romantic thing, like Motoko, Hideo, like, or they used to be together in a.
Are you there? Can you hear me? You froze up on me. Am I there? Sana? Sana? Can everybody hear me? Can anybody hear Sana? Anyone? Am I still here? Are we still live? Sana? Hey, Sana's gone. Oh, okay. Stay. So she froze? Is she the one who froze? Am I still here? Can you guys still see me? Okay. I'm not going to leave. I'm going to wait for Santa to come back. I don't know what she said. I have no idea. But, yeah. Ghost in the Shell. Amazing. Oh, there she is. I was like, Sana, where are you?
I was freaking out. I was like, no.
Okay. Listen, I got it under control. It's cool.
All
Stay was
right,
like, we can hear you, Joe. We can hear you. And he was
nice
like,
seeing y'all. See ya.
what did you say? Because I heard nothing about what you said about any of the stuff that we were talking about.
Oh, well, I think we were talking about the ending.
Yes, and then you started talking, and it was like, Sana, where are you?
So I was saying that I prefer the anime ending more than the movie.
Yes.
Because the anime makes you think, makes you curious, whereas the movie itself was more romanticized. You had Motoko and Hideo, and that wasn't really happening in the manga or the movie, which is fine. I mean, sometimes, you have to change things up a bit to, attract an audience because whatever. But since it's already an anime that is just so fucking legend, it's kind of but I don't really hate it because I think it's pretty interesting because I also like the fact where when she goes see her mother, how her mother kind of already like sees the energy that she's giving off, that hey, it looks familiar, like
No, I'm with you.
if I would be like in a different body and I would greet someone that know me but I don't really know yet if it's you, would you recognize me? Right?
No, I really love that. No, you're right. I don't mean to cut. I'm sorry. Like I
No,
don't
no,
know.
no, no, go.
The thing that's great about it is, like, I agree with you wholeheartedly. My favorite thing. I'm gonna say this. I love the manga. I think it's excellent. I love the 2017 movie. I think the change in direction and stuff and the way they ended it was different but refreshing and good. I know a lot of people complained about that and it didn't really get like super high reviews. It was like in the middle, I thought it was excellent. But my favorite piece of media from, whether it be the anime TV series, all the spin-offs, all the OVA, any of that stuff, my favorite thing that ever came out of Ghost in the Shell is the 1995 animated movie. It's the fucking best. It's amazing. Like, I don't know. Watching that again too was like so amazing to me because it really, really touches on so many issues that we like I said, just take for granted. We don't understand. And I don't know if you know this because I don't know how much of the other stuff you've watched or read, but Hideo Kuze, the character in the 2017, is actually based on another character in the animated series named Hideo Kuze. But in the movie in 2017, they made him more like the puppet master and that guy, the puppeteer, instead of the actual Kuze from the standalone complex. Second gig is what he's from. So he's actually a real character in the thing. In the TV series, he actually has his face sculpted on instead of it being like robotic, and his mouth doesn't move. He just like talks, and like his mouth just stays silent in the TV series. It's really cool. You gotta check it out. The anime is amazing.
I will. As I said before the stream, like there will probably be like a Ghost in the Shell Part 2 stream because there's still 2 other books in the box that I have to read, and the series that you told me that Sack.
Oh, you told me about that. I didn't even know about that. You were like, "Hey, do you know there's one on Netflix that's out now? It's called Sack." I was like, "It's called Sack, like SACK?" You're like, "No, SAC," and I was like, "Okay, right,
I'm
sure, you made it up." Then we looked it up together, and it was real. So yeah.
Hello, nice to see you, girl.
What's up,
right?
Weird Gamer?
You're right. Being hooked on technology, everybody is looking at their phones and tablets.
You just said that
Makes
today. Boom.
Yeah. Also, how all the younger girls today, they all look like Kardashian clones or something. Like all the how they are so easily influenced by like beauty gurus. Like make your eyebrows look like the Chinese wall, and do this and do that, and they are like they really put a shell over themselves
Oh
or
yeah,
over
absolutely,
themselves, I should
absolutely.
say. So we are living in this era basically. Like everything that has been like quote unquote predicted like in books, like we were talking about 1984,
Oh
how
yes, yeah.
it's all like it's pretty interesting that as before we spoke about the mind, a human mind has to see something in order to like fantasize about something. So what did they see in order to go this far, right?
Exactly, exactly. We talked about that too, and I think I told you this today. I'm gonna bring up that quote here in a second too, because I think it's time for the quote I was talking about, baby. But yeah, there's a couple quotes I want to talk about. What Sienna just mentioned and what she's touching on. It's so deep, and like we said earlier, we could talk about this for hours because there's so
Mm.
much information as a society, as human beings, whatever. It's endless. It really is endless. But there's a quote in the movie Thor, and Jane Foster says it, and she says, "Science fiction was the precursor to science. Fact." And every time I watch that movie, like that quote really sticks out to me that she says because I love science fiction. Science fiction is like one of my favorite genres to read. I love Frank Herbert. I love Arthur C. Clarke. I love H.G. Wells. I love Robert Heinlein. I love Isaac Asimov. I love Philip K. Dick. All that stuff, all those stories. There's a reason why they're made into television series and movies is because they're so powerful. And people will go check it out because it's so deep and it's so cerebral, just like Ghost in the Shell is.
Mm.
And I want to pull it up here real quick. Here's the quote. But I don't know if you guys
Ooh.
ever read Aldous Huxley and his novel Brave New World. It's kind of like a little different than 1984. But there was this sociologist named Neil Postman, and he basically compared the two books, 1984 and Brave New World. And this is what he has to say. I'm going to read this verbatim because I don't have it memorized. It's a fucking huge paragraph. But here's what he said.
Do
He
it.
said, "What Orwell feared were those who would ban books. What Huxley feared was that there would be no reason to ban a book, for there would be no one who wanted to read one. Orwell feared those who would deprive us of information. Huxley feared those would give us so much information that we would be reduced to passivity and egotism. Orwell feared that the truth would be concealed from us. Huxley feared that the truth would be drowned in a sea of irrelevance. Orwell feared we would become a captive culture. Huxley feared we would become a trivial culture, preoccupied with some equivalent of the feelies, the orgy-porgy, and the centrifugal bumble puppy, which basically just means bullshit. Like a bunch of just misinformation or so much shit thrown at you is what he's trying to say. Um, As Huxley remarked in Brave New World Revisited, the civil libertarians and rationalists who were ever on the alert to oppose tyranny failed to take into account man's almost infinite appetite for distractions. So we're talking about with like all these girls and stuff who are just obsessed with looking like Kardashian, that distracted by so much shit that they don't know who they lose their identity in this shit.
Mm.
And then in 1984, he added, "People are controlled by inflicting pain." In 1984. In Brave New World, they're controlled by inflicting pleasure. So therefore, in short, what he's trying to say is Orwell feared that what we fear will ruin us, where Huxley feared that what we desire will ruin us. So it's kind of like Orwell fears that like you get, if you guys read 1984, it's a fucking amazing book. Read it. Big Brother's watching you. That whole idea, you can't do this, you can't do that because there's this overpower just looking at you. Whereas in Brave New World, it's like you want this, you want that, you want this, you want that. You're gonna get lost in so much information that it's gonna be so saturated that it just sinks into you, and that's all that's there. It's like Sana said about these girls who want to look like the Kardashians and paint their eyebrows and do shit. You really lose who you are as a person, your individuality as a person, because there's so much shit around you that makes you forget who you are. And then,
Indeed.
yeah, and that quote, I love that quote. I read that when I was in college because I wrote a paper on Brave New World in 1984, and I was like, oh, cool. I used that as a As a I cited it in my works cited page because I thought it was so powerful. It's an amazing thing. And the robots in Ghost in the Shell, like that's what they're trying to say. Like you people don't understand what it means to be completely free because you're so trapped in
Mm.
yourself, in your own little worlds. Like you think you have to control things and do this and do that when really you're just a speck of dust in the grand scheme of the cosmic universe. Like you're nothing. There's so much more out there that you don't understand. Like I don't know. It's deep. Ghost in the Shell fucking kicks ass. That's all I can say. I can go on for hours here. It's amazing.
Yeah, like a silly example with the greed, like for example, the YouTube community, they look at the people who have like more than 1K followers. So they're like, I have to look up to them because they have more. They get this, they get that, like, oh, this person who has 1 million followers gets sponsored, gets all this free stuff. That's what I want. It's not really what you truly want. It's just because you see others have it, you want it too. So it's just constant greed. And you see it a lot ever since let's say the evolution of social media. Let's say during MySpace, it was kind of still like, shaking a bit, like, oh, where's it going? But then as soon as like Facebook went open and what we are now, it's about how many likes do I get on Instagram? Oh my God, I didn't get like over 100 likes. Oh my God, the algorithm of Instagram is fucking with me. Like, do you post this picture because you're proud of it? You want to show your craft, or whatever it is? Or is it because you want all the likes, you want the constant attention? Like, what are you doing it for? Are you doing it for yourself or are you doing it for others? And you see that a lot in all these movies, in Ghost in the Shell, in the Matrix, for example, when Morpheus takes Neo for a walk and, we are in the Matrix. You see the lady in the red dress. Yeah, of course, because all these, but that is also a thing, right? Because a lot of girls and women, they think they have to really expose themselves in order to get attention. And the unfortunate thing is that's the majority of them do get the attention and all the likes and all the stuff. So a lot of girls think like, oh, I have to expose myself to become the lady in red in order to get all these attention. Only then I'm being appreciated. Whereas the guys are like, no, if you would just like wear no fucking makeup and a turtleneck, I'd still like you.
No, I agree. And we talked about it earlier today. I think Louis just called me the philosopher. Thanks, Louis. Appreciate it. Love philosophy. Studied that in college too.
Oh shit! There's so many comments I'm missing out on. I'm sorry.
You're fine. Don't worry about it. It's cool. What you said there is so awesome. We talked about earlier today how sometimes technology unites us a lot. I mean, look at you and me. Like, I never, ever, ever would have been able to talk to you, interact with you, do these streams with you, or do any of this stuff had it not been for Instagram, had it not been for other people having these live streams and chats on a network that honestly wasn't even available to us 20 years ago, 30 years ago. We wouldn't have had access to this shit. But at the same time, think about being in a relationship with someone. You send somebody a text. Nobody talks on the phone anymore. And people wonder why relationships go to shit. Because if you're a busy person and you're working all day long and you don't have enough time to devote to the relationship, what you're going to do is when you're busy, you're going to send a text and say, hey, I'll see you later. Love you. But where's the heart and spirit in that? And you mentioned a really good point today when we were talking. You're like, back in the day, people were pen pals. They sat down. They wrote a fucking 5 or 6 page letter to the person across the ocean with heart and soul and a lot of intelligence up here because they really thought that way. They really felt that way. It wasn't just ease of access. Like I pick up my phone and go, hey, I love you. See you later. Kissy face. Yeah. Back then you actually told a story. You were like, I love you like this. I love you like that. Like, and you explain that shit in pages and paragraphs of information that you actually wrote yourself. You had to think about it to do it. Now you don't have to think because the machine thinks for you. My iPhone thinks for me. Like, no shit. It thinks for me. I told you this today. I used to go to concerts. I've been a concert goer for 15, 16 years of my life. 15 or 16 years ago, I didn't even have a fucking cell phone. When I went to a concert, I couldn't take video quality footage. It would look like shit. Even if I had a video camera that was state-of-the-art back then, it would be a piece of shit. I have more technology right here with this camera on my phone than people 20 years ago had with a top-of-the-line $10,000 camera. And this probably takes better pictures than what they took 20 years ago. And it's insane to say that. I literally have a machine that thinks, a robot, literally, in my pocket every day with me. And without it, I'm fucked because society uses this now. for everything. You can pay your bills on here. You can call people on here. You can use a GPS on here to figure out where the fuck you're going. I mean, it's insane when you think about it.
Yeah,
But that's how.
it knows the amount of steps you took in a day, how long
Yeah.
you've slept. Like,
Yeah.
it's fucking crazy. But also, we're hitting that stage where, as kids, do they even know how to write? Because they do everything by phone, by tablet, by laptop, whatever. Like, in my time, I mean, I'm in my 30s now,
Me too.
and in high school, it was like, you didn't have a computer, so you could still write all the essays and all that stuff, right? But then you had some teachers who were like, no, I want you to type this shit. I'm like, yeah, well, I don't have a computer, like, you cannot force my parents to go out and buy a computer. And he
Exactly.
was like, well, if you have a typewriter, you can do it via a typewriter. I was like, get the fuck out, dude. But then
Yeah.
they start to kind of force you to let you stay after school was done and be like, okay, well, we have a PC class upstairs. And even you had PC class, like they would teach you have to like press the square in order
I
to
had
leave
it.
the
I had
website.
it. Yeah, I remember. I remember.
And now you see like babies being entertained by a fucking phone, like, oh, it's crying, here, have a phone, shut up, like, and they are scrolling like a pro. It's like,
Absolutely.
it's crazy.
Absolutely. What it is
You're becoming
like,
dependent.
yeah, you're dependent on this. This is your network. It's just like Ghost in the Shell. It's like, this is your network right now. Literally, Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, all that shit. It's called a network. Like, this is what you're hooked up to. When you sign the contract to sign this up, you're signing your life away to this network, right? But you know what? You mentioned the computer class and shit, and that's a really good point. I want to talk about that. Because I taught community college. And I'll tell you what, those kids who were 18 or 19 years old for that semester, I went to school and I got my degree and my graduate degree in history. That's what I studied in school. Mainly antiquarian history, ancient Rome and Greece. That's what I studied. And in grad school, I studied like museum studies and public history, more modern stuff. Trying to get these kids to write a 5-page research paper, literally 5 pages, double space. I mean, that's fucking nothing. I was writing like 10 or 15-page things in high school. And then when I got to college, I was writing like 30 or 40-page essays. These guys are writing like a 5-page thing. That's all I'm asking. And they're like, oh, it's too hard. I don't understand what I'm supposed to do. It's like, you have to read a book. You literally have to go get the book out of the library, pick it up, and actually peruse it and take notes. You can't just like look shit up online. You can't find everything on Wikipedia because that's plagiarism. You can't just do that. And they were
That's
like,
also a thing. Like, reading a book is like what is that?
yeah. My one of my favorite things. I don't own a lot of digital books on like Kindle or anything because I don't believe in it. I would much rather have a physical copy that I have right here that I can look through and smell the pages and have the bookmark in there and see where, I like this because it gives a character. Like 10 years from now when I look through the just a little tab or the crease in it or something, I can remember like, hey, look, I did read this and I remember that passage. That's why that page has bent back a little bit because I wanted to remember it. It's a special part or highlighted. I highlight something in here. You can't do that on an electronic book or a Kindle reader or an e-reader. You can't do that. It's not the same. It doesn't have the same connection. Almost like you said with the character in the movie when she goes to see her mother because she felt that her ghost. She felt her ghost. Her ghost was there. The energy, the essence, right?
Yeah.
And I think if we're going to talk about those 3 things right now, we need to clear up something here real quick because another thing that the movie does, 2017 with Scarlett Johansson, is it changes the character a little bit, her backstory. In the anime series, in the anime movie, in the manga, she is a robot with a brain that's developed and created, and that's who she is, right? And her name is Motoko Kusanagi, the Major. That's her character. Now, in the 2017 adaptation of it, the live action with Scarlett Johansson, her name is Mira Killian. Oh, you think it's Mira Killian, Major Mira Killian. But what happens is she dives into this geisha robot. We talked about that scene where she goes in and she's shooting all the geishas to basically save that guy or whatever. And what happens is after she dives into this geisha to get like memory or some kind of like message out of it to see if there's any evidence in there of why these geishas attack these people, she starts having these flashbacks immediately after that, and she sees like a cat in this thing, and she's like, what's this cat from? And she has like all these flashbacks. She keeps seeing this symbol and having nightmares about this symbol. And it turns out that her consciousness, she was like in an accident, and she basically died as a child, and they took her consciousness and put it in a human brain, and then put that human brain inside of a robot, and then gave her false memories to make her believe she was this person named Major Mirakilian, when she was actually this girl named Motoko Kusanagi. And that's like what the 2017 version is, a little different than the anime stuff in the manga. It's a little different. But I like how they did that. I thought it was neat. I thought it was a cool concept because it made the company Honka Robotics seem a little more sinister. You know, it was like, oh shit, we're planting memories into people. You know?
Yeah, but it also applies to us because
I thought
we are so like hooked on social media and stuff like that, and on a phone, whatever it is. But our subconsciousness is like desiring, like, can I have a bit of peace? Let's not be on social media for a while. Put the phone away. Let's watch a movie. Let's do this. Let's do that. You know, I think also because we are from that generation where, you know, you watch a movie on TV like Thursday and Friday, Saturdays were when the good movies were coming on. Like, but then thinking back, it's like, what the fuck did I do all day? You know, because now I'm just so used to like you constantly like replying to people and doing this and communicating, or at least communicating to a certain extent. And then it's like, what the fuck was I doing back then? But was I happier back then? I think so, because
you're right.
I wasn't even like so consumed with everything. Like, oh, I have to do this. I have to do that. Like,
absolutely.
Now you have the constant desire to share it, you know?
Absolutely. No, I agree with you 100%. There was a time, this was like 3 or 4 years ago. It was 2016. I can still remember clearly. Remember how I told you before, coronavirus is killing me because I couldn't go back to my favorite part where the university is and walk around and enjoy nature because it was like one of the things I loved?
Yeah.
Me and my best friend used to get back here and like throw football around. And we play football and just bullshit and shoot the shit. We just toss a football around, just chill, you know, have fun. And we were back there one time, and he's a history major too. He has a degree in history, really smart dude. We have a lot in common. And we were talking about how everything is saturated. Remember when Pokemon Go came out, that app on your phone?
Oh,
that place was my, like, to this day, it's my sanctuary. It's like my tranquility. When I go back to the university in that park, it's so peaceful. When Pokemon Go first came out, there was like 100 fucking people walking around like on this road. This kid literally almost walked. There's a pond back there with ducks in it. He literally was trying to catch a Pokemon, and he almost walked right into the fucking pond. Like, he wasn't even paying attention. He was looking at his phone. It's like, I actually got to the point after I saw that where I deleted every social media thing I had, and I didn't have it for like over a year because I was like, I'm getting too consumed with this shit, and I don't want to end up like that kid feeling like I need to go home and check Facebook or Instagram or whatever, because it's really, like you just said, it's taking over my life. It's really becoming a part of my identity, and I need to separate myself from that. So there are times where like I take a break and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do that, you know, and because you forget who you are because you're so consumed with technology and social media and who's, like you said, who's going to like my picture? Who's going to like this? Who's going to like that? Who's going to do this? Who's going to do that? You know, it's like, do it because you love it. And that's in my streams. I'm always like, just do you, because that's really what you have to do. Don't do it for anybody else. Do it for what you feel in here in your heart and what you feel up here in your head. That's all that fucking matters. What everybody else thinks, who cares? Be yourself, you know? That's the most important part of anything in your life. That's it. Be yourself.
Yeah. Let's for a mini break, let's go to the comment section. We have Gabriella. Hello, girl.
What's up, Gabby?
Glad you're here. We're behaving a bit more than last week, but you know, derailing hours still have to start. Hold on, I'm fucking up. I'm fucking up.
Yeah, my boy Louie coming in clutch as always. Thanks, bro.
Yeah,
man. Yeah, that's what it's about, man. That's exactly what it's about, man. You know, do yourself, have the interaction, meet new people, get an experience. That's what it's about. But there are some people who just do it to do it. You know, it's like, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I mean, if you're interacting with people and you're having a good time doing it, that's all that fucking matters, man. You know? And
I
that's
was actually talking about this with Weirdo Gamer this week. She is following this gamer on Instagram, and he was literally just constantly crying about the fact that he didn't get enough likes.
who cares?
And the thing is that when you post something, the people who like it will respond to it. And I rather have just like maybe like 10 people liking something that I post that I can actually communicate with. Like, oh, did you see this? Oh, yeah, I like the movie. I like the comic. I like this. I like that. Than having so many likes, because that will also become in a way like an addiction, because you will keep coming back like, oh, will I get that? Like, I'm still
Yeah,
flabbergasted about the fact that our
right.
first stream got like almost like 2,000 views, but does it make me want to check the second stream constantly? Like, oh, are we hitting the 2,000? I don't even care. Like the few people that support you, that like the topic, they will come. If not, hey, it's not for everyone, and we are not here to please everybody. So we just need to geek out.
Yeah, exactly.
Digital pen pals, yeah, but a bit more exaggerated maybe than it should be. Wait, what?
When I was talking about relationships, Keys, what's up, man? He was like, "Guys, walking relationship talk." When I was talking about texting versus phone calls versus writing letters, all that kind of stuff.
Kiki's in the house. Pagers, yeah.
Yeah, they were like high tech back in the day. I remember having one. It
And
was like,
how about, like having your cell phone and your work is also on your like WhatsApp, or what else is out there, Google Hangouts and all this stuff, and they'd be like, yeah, but I saw you online. Like, yeah, maybe I was replying to a family member that is like more important than your fucking ass right now. But
exactly.
constantly, the people are like literally Big Brother is watching you, as you said before. It's happening. There's no shame in this game. No, the shame will come later, maybe. Yeah, like we had Tamagotchi back in the day, feeding a pet, whereas kids are like, Mom, can I start my own Instagram and be like you, have my ass and tits out? I mean, literally, like, what message are you sending out to your kids? Because I know a lot of women on Instagram, for example, who have their tits and ass out, they have daughters. And I'm like, okay, but what if your daughter ever sees your Instagram? What message are you really sending? Ooh, I think this is a love story.
Oh yeah, me and Louie. Hey, look, I'm just preaching up here. You know what I'm passionate about. Hey, but you know what, Shauna, you made a good point, and Sean too, man. What he's talking about, because I think we grew up like right before Y2K, and that was 1999, when everybody was geeking out about like stuff crashing, the internet going like
Oh,
crazy.
you were waiting at midnight. Like, will the VCR
Yeah,
really
do you
fall
remember
out?
that shit? I remember like waiting before the ball was gonna drop on like New Year's, and I was like, "Oh shit, is the world gonna end?" I'm in like seventh or eighth
Mm.
grade, like, "Oh my god, is it over?" And then nothing happened. Like, I guess we're good to go, right? But like, I think like what Sean mentioned too is like he said kids are getting to everything nowadays, and he's 100% right. Like kids who actually have parents who work and can afford it, they get everything they want. When I was a kid, it was me and my younger brother. I was the oldest. For Christmas, we got like one thing. It was like, here's your present. It wasn't like, here's
Mm.
your presents, plural. Here's all this shit. There's one thing we really wanted, we would get it. And I'm
Mm.
grateful for that, because it taught me not to be entitled. There are people who like get everything and then they feel like they don't have to work for anything in their life. And I hate to say that, and I'm not saying everybody's like that, but there are a lot of people like that, because they just get handed every single thing. Everything that I own, I bought myself. I'm going to be 34 next month. I've been working since I've been 15 years old. Ever since I got a job, my parents were like, time for you to start buying your shit. And ever since then, that's what I've been doing. You know, it's, I think kids nowadays, because I work with a body of kids, and a lot of them just don't understand what it's like to have nothing. And we're always comparing ourselves to other people, like you said, Sana.
Hmm.
You know,
Just
oh,
like in school, right? Like with all the
yeah,
girls, like, oh, I have the new Nikes. I think therefore school uniforms wouldn't be that bad of an idea, because then people don't really get influenced like, oh, I need those new Nikes, I need these new like Gucci t-shirt because it says Gucci, like big fucking deal. But it
Exactly.
is, because it's all about brands. Like I do remember that growing up, because my mom, she would always wait until like the discount season started, like the sale, and then she would go then to the like more expensive stuff, like what the fuck is it called again, like Nuff Nuff, and another one, um Benetton.
I have no
Was it
idea.
okay, well maybe it's just a Dutch thing, but then they were like on sale, right? And she would really wait till the end, until like something that like what, like a $100 shirt would be like $15, and then she would let me wear it. But then in school the jealousy started, because oh, I was wearing something of a brand, and that was not really the intention of my mom to be like bragging, like, oh, look at her, like she'd be like, yeah, I bought it for like $15.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty good at that.
Exactly.
So that jealousy starts already at a young age, and there's the teachers are not really stopping it. I mean, the majority of teachers are like allowing bullying to happen, which you get this whole mind control thing, so people start to look up to these women that they see a lot. Unfortunately, it's like now the quote unquote influences, and you really have to just approve everything in order to be like quote unquote accepted. Like if you
Yeah.
disagree like with like gender equality, if you disagree with that, then it's like, oh no, you are like a hater, you should be burned, you fucking witch. All this stupid, like, you really, it's full on mind control that's going on. And you have all these people that are like jumping over, like all the sheeps are following. We are the ghost in the shell.
No, you're right, but I think that's the point of the whole series and the whole movie and the whole concept of it.
Mm,
People don't realize that what's important isn't this. It's not my beard, it's not my hair, it's not the watch I'm wearing, it's not the rings I have on, it's not the brand of this hoodie.
mm,
It's what I said earlier. Even like being authentic to yourself, it's about what's in here and what's in here. That's always that's it. Like it's that simple, but it's so complicated for people to understand because people don't understand themselves to know what's in here and what's in here. Because they feel like they have to have that or have this or have that or have this to be accepted, like you said, or to be cool, right? You
mm,
mentioned high school, but even outside of high school, when you get into the real world, when you go to work and you go to an occupation, it's always like it's always like people are in constant competition for stuff.
mm.
They can't just be happy with what they have. And that is exactly what this really boils down to in a nutshell. Ghost in the Shell. It boils down to the fact, what's the quote that she says at the end of the movie? What'd she say? You told me today. The one that you wrote down.
Ah,
What she
yeah.
said. What's the quote?
We cling to memories as if uh, they define us, but what we do define us.
Exactly. It's what you do in the world that defines you, not what you wear, not who you hang out with, not if you have a fucking Lamborghini outside that you're driving, or you have a fucking AMC Gremlin with a rusted fucking floor that you can see the road on. It doesn't matter, right? As long as you wake up every day and you're doing what's right, what you believe is right, and here, that's it. It doesn't matter. But as a society, because of all of this shit behind me, because of all this material stuff, it's like that quote I read. And I agree with that guy who wrote that sociologist. And I think that Huxley, if I'm comparing Brave New World again with 1984, I think that Huxley with Brave New World was right. I'm not saying Orwell's isn't like relevant and it doesn't make sense, but you have to look at Orwell's from a scope of like a socialist society where people pretty much tell you how to live your life. It's kind of a different thing because it was more of a critique on Russian society, right? Like the USSR.
Mm,
Whereas Brave New World was more of a critique on humanity in general. Like, this is what's going to happen if we don't figure stuff out. But it's like I just said. I mean, I'm guilty of it. Everybody's guilty of it. We all want
right.
cool shit.
Here
We
we
all
are.
want we all want the top of the line shit. We all want the coolest shit. We do want the Lamborghini. And when we can't get it, we're just like, oh fuck, maybe someday. Right? So yeah, and like what she said, fantastic girl. Gabby, you're right, absolutely. The amount of likes you have doesn't define your worth, just
Yeah.
like what you have in general, whether it's likes, whether it's clothes, whether it's pop figurines, whether it's comic books, whether it's a fucking Blue Yeti microphone. It doesn't matter.
A butt plug. Kirk! Woo! My brother of another
What's
mother.
up here? 86 here, baby.
87 in the house. Woo!
86 right here. Yeah. No, but I mean, I think it's
Right?
awesome. Yeah, exactly. He knows. He knows.
But now it's also trendy, right? Like going to the flea market. Like it's becoming a trend. Like you have to go to the flea market as long as it's like grungy. You're trendy.
No, you're right, but you know what I think it is too? Because, like I said, I'm a historian. History repeats itself.
Eh,
Always
even
comes back over and over and over and over. Look at Star Wars. Look at that franchise. You could have been
yeah, but
cool with
look at
that.
all the holy books, for example. I mean, the
There you go.
shit still repeats itself, and we're talking about like fucking more than decades ago, centuries.
Exactly.
Stay puff. Oh shit. Oh fuck. Hold on. I'm no pro. Never. Are you talking about Ghost in the Shell? We were talking about Ghost in the Shell.
Ah.
Well, I haven't seen the series yet, and once I have seen it, and probably Joe will also then catch up on the series again because I think he has seen a few, and then the other two mangas that comes with the deluxe edition box. And then who knows? Maybe if someone is like inspired by this stream and wants to also buy Ghost in the Shell and would like to join us, like we're fucking happy to have you on and let's debate this awesome realistic shit. It's happening now.
Louis all about that flea market food. You know what's cool about that though is
Hmm.
I like what he said there because like even what Kurt just said, real talk, it's true because um people take that stuff for granted. People want
Right.
like 5-star cuisine meal nowadays and they don't appreciate like the little local shops that are kind of like around, you know? I'll be straight with you. Like, I'm not really a big fan of chain restaurants. I don't like McDonald's, Burger King, that kind of stuff. I don't go there. I don't eat there. I would rather go to a local place that's exclusive to my town,
Hmm.
that is like family owned, that has their own shit because you can't get it anywhere else. It's unique. It's made by them. It's like a family recipe. It's not like some CEO from McDonald's is like, this is how you make a Big Mac. You need special sauce, 2 pickles, sesame seed, but like you just go do it the way you want to do it. It's not, but that's robotic in a way. That's what we're talking about. Like think about that.
Uh,
Think about McDonald's. When you go to McDonald's, what service do you actually get? Be honest. Like when you go check out at a fast food place, what service are you actually getting there? What do they
and
do?
since Kirk mentions comics, you also see it happening in the comic community that,
Yeah.
they go out every single week wasting so much money just so that not all of them, of course, because some are really passionate and collectors, but there are a lot of people out there that just buy comics in order to constantly show it on their Instagram. Like they feel the need that they have to because they see so many collectors who have either been saving or, have a good job that can spend all that money and they wanted to like, oh, I need all these issues. Or I mean, I'm not judging anyone, of course, but I do see it happen a lot, that you just a lot of I'm really wondering, like, do you buy the comics because you want to read it, or do you buy it because everybody tells you to get it because of some sort of spec or whatever?
Yeah, I can see that.
All the people from Florida.
The Sunshine State. What else about Ghost in the Shell song? What do you think?
I mean, as I said in the beginning of the stream, you look at it and you're like amazed by it, but also you don't understand it in a way. I mean, your subconsciousness understand what's going on, but you cannot really translate what's going on, and just like, because you're so used to having easy answers, right? Like, oh yeah, it's because of that. And now you have to think, you have to use your mind, you have to use your imagination, and then it's like corruption in my mind. But not really, because I'm always overthinking everything.
Yeah, me too. But you know what? I think the movies themselves, like I know we talked about it, it's just heck yeah, Kirk, man. I can't wait. It's gonna be sweet. But there's so much in it. I mean, the movie's only an hour and a half, and it's
Not even long. I really thought it was like 2.5 hours or something, like in my
no, it's
imagination,
not.
because
It's like
so
an hour
much
and a half.
happens. A lot
Keys is
happens,
saying,
but
yeah, Keys is saying don't talk about his junior chickens. He's all about the junior chicken sandwiches, man. No, I'm not saying they're not good, bro. I'm just saying I prefer traditional, homegrown, right? What's up, Lost Comic
hello.
Kid?
Your key shoes, or however you call keys, is in the chat. Yeah, I noticed that yesterday or the day before yesterday when you were doing the live stream, you were really fucking passionate about the books that you got, and you were just like, "Oh, I really like the Fantastic Four," and you want to collect all these things. And yeah, with you, I can see there's a passion there, but there are so many people that are just like hoarding shit, in order to create or uplift or uplift, I should say, a certain status. And that is the danger zone. That sometimes it's good to just like, I mean, for me right now, I mean, I know that my comic shop is really fucked up with comics, so I don't go there. So I know that I don't waste money on comics. Like, oh, then let me get this instead because I still got a shitload to read. Instead, I'm wasting money on mangas, but that's because I know now for sure because you're kicking my ass. Like, let's do all these streams about movies and mangas, and I'm like, yeah, actually, there for a long time I actually wanted to read these mangas or get these mangas. So now I'm actually doing what I really like to do because I really felt in a way I was also getting sucked into that whole thing of you have to get comics. I'm also a victim of that because I did notice like I bought so many single issues and I hardly ever fucking touch or read those particular single issues. But it was because everyone was telling you to get it. Like, okay, then I should go get it because I was still a noob and I wasn't really. I was getting consumed with that whole fucking Instagram IG comic family thing. And then I was like, you know what, fuck this shit. I'm gonna be me, and I'm just gonna do whatever.
What
And
about type O negative? I don't want to be. I don't want to be me.
eh,
I love it. No, but you know what? You're right because that's just what
eh.
Pokemon. Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. Pokemon Go. Oh my god, never played it. Never had a desire to play it after I saw that kiddo. So that's awesome, bro. Manga's legit.
Yeah, he told me that this week he is on a anime binge again. So I think we should talk with Kirk pretty soon and be like, okay, like you want to sit down for a manga slash movie slash anime
Heck yeah.
talk because I know Kirk can go pretty deep into things as well because Kirk
Yeah,
knows what I'm talking about.
that's what I'm all about.
What did I say? Well, what didn't I say? I never did because I'm not really a big fan of Pokemon. I think Pikachu is cute, kawaii, doesn't it? But when I saw all these people, like it was constantly on the news, right? Then you just know, like, okay, but usually only bad things are being shown on the news. So if this if this makes the news, then it's totally fucked up.
It
And
is.
and then like as you said, like you were out in the park, like I was out near some water area, and you saw so many people with their phone just, oh, it's over there, it's over there. And they were just like literally like run over there just for a fucking Pokemon. And you had like kids doing it to like grown-ups and grown-ups
Yeah,
with kids. And I'm like, what
yeah,
fucking what are you setting standards? Like you're
yes,
telling your kids it's like okay to go out and be a zombie and oh yeah, keep checking your phone because the Pokemon might be just around the corner.
yes. Exactly like a zombie. Yes, that's a quote I said to my buddy. I was like, dude, it's like The Walking Dead out here. Like I feel like I'm Rick Grimes right now. Like it's literally they're all zombies. I could literally walk by. I actually walked by somebody and bumped them slightly, and he wasn't even like, excuse me, sorry. It was like,
Eh.
what
All
about
is
people? What
for
about the people with Pokemon Go walking out in front of cars because they were like getting hit by cars and stuff because they were like not paying attention to traffic? It's like, that's insane, dude. I don't get it.
I wonder now, actually, if then the coronavirus was happening when Pokemon Go was being released, people would have like died. I have to go with my 10 face mask. I have to grab some Pokemon.
Gotta catch 'em all, Pokemon.
The first was the close. Hmm. Well, I didn't really.
That's a zombified version, Keys. That's basically like a prison in your own mind. How many Blastoise do you need?
Exactly, Sean. Thank you. Because I really love and enjoy comics, but I was never really able to truly express myself with it until Joe came along, and I was like, I also kind of like Japanese things, and he's like, oh yeah, me too. And then we were like yelling at each other, or me just yelling hysterically, and then we were like, you know what, fuck this shit. Let's do what we really like, because so many things just go deeper than just that. And I can talk about Captain Marvel all day, but not really, because a lot of people think also that I'm like this big fucking Captain Marvel fan. But I appreciate her as a character, as I talked about in like the origin story that I did. Because she was this powerful lady, then all her powers got taken away, and she was discovering like who was she as a person now without powers. I felt like that, like it applied to my life at that time. But it doesn't necessarily mean I'm like Captain Marvel. Not at all. But I really felt like constantly like, oh, I have to keep reading these books because I once said that I like Captain Marvel, and now people will. I mean, some people really come to you and they start like a Q&A. So, when was Carol Danvers born? What's your favorite hobby? What's your favorite pizza? I was like, no, lo so. I was freaking out. Like, I also I felt like intimidated because, first off, I'm a noob when it comes to comics, right? And then you say that you like a character, and then people literally just think that you know automatically everything about it. Just like, but I once said about Magneto, and Newbie was like, that's a good point. But then I kind of freaked out because we talked about it on the live stream. I was like, yeah, but what if people now start asking me questions about Magneto? I don't know everything. I haven't read every single fucking book of it. It's also really kind of intimidating in a way. So yeah, here we are.
No, but I mean, that's a good point, because you know what you just said, like, I don't know everything about Magneto, I don't know everything about Captain Marvel, but like we said earlier in the stream, you don't know as much compared to someone else or somebody else. So really, you're comparing yourself sort of to someone who knows more knowledge, and you feel like you kind of have to be like that person when we don't. Like we talk about, just do whatever the fuck you want. Like Sean's saying, do whatever the fuck you want. Do what you feel is important. That's the point.
It was the same thing, with doing these videos, that I was like, but I really feel like I'm not really talking too in depth. Like, I really felt like I have to like talk about every single detail, but I don't know it, or I don't know what I'm doing. Does it mean that I cannot be part of this comic community, whatever, And then at one point I was like, you know what, fuck it. And here we are doing streams about everything that we like, and everything just ties in together. So, arigato, Giuseppe.
Arigato.
Arigato.
Is it time to go? You done so?
No.
Or is that hello?
No, that's thank you. Grazie mille.
Oh, yeah. I don't know how to say you're welcome, but arigato, Sana. No, but I want to say this. And I kind of want to piggyback off what you said, because you know what? With this movie and with comic books and with anything that you're interested in, this is my philosophy and this is my ideology about it, okay? What you just said with Magneto and Captain Marvel. And comics are a really good example for what we talked about earlier today. There is so much information out there, and it's such a saturated medium of art that you will never, ever, ever in 100, 1,000, a million years ever understand every single shred of what's happening in a continuity, every single shred of what's happening with the character. There is absolutely no way. You could have a PhD in Captain Marvel and still not know everything about the character. Like, seriously, because there's so much. Just think about it. I'm a huge Batman fan. I've loved Batman for over 30 years. Even me as a huge Batman fan, I'm not going to sit here and say that I know everything about the character. There's so many runs of that character. There's so many different comic continuities of the character and versions of the character, and they keep coming out like monthly, that you will never, ever be able to grasp all that information. It's just so much. There's no way to do that in this lifetime at all. And that brings me to another point about Ghost in the Shell. And I know you're passionate about this too. The whole idea of reincarnation, that whole idea, right? Of her consciousness at the end of the movie when she integrates with the puppet master, the puppeteer in the animated version, 95. That opens up her mind to something completely different. And it's almost like she's reincarnated as a different being when she merges with him. And it's like she has all the past memories of herself, but all the past memories of the puppeteer, and it's a completely new being. And it's...
Or does that mean that that's how you're supposed to be?
No, but that's exactly my point. No, exactly. You should get bits and pieces and take things from everything. You don't need to be an expert on one singular thing. That's the beauty of being alive and being a human being. And like that's the point of everything, what I said today. And she says it at the end of the movie, the greatest virtue and the greatest gift is humanity. Because it goes to the philosophy and the ideology that we are a microcosm and a macrocosm. In other words, we are, like I said earlier, a speck of dust in this great cosmic universe. But each one of us, ourselves, is unique and individual. There could be somebody who has almost everything in common with me, who likes almost everything, every single thing that I like, but at the end of the day, they're still not me. They don't have my past experiences. They don't have my same mother, my same father, my same experiences in my life. They might not cut their hair the same way. They might not have the same vision. They might not see the world in the way I see it. And that's the beauty of it. That's why that's so powerful. And that goes back to the character, the puppet master. And it's kind of like ironic that he's called the puppet master because he's the person who wants complete freedom for himself and everyone else. And really the other people are the ones controlling him like a puppet.
Or perhaps he's pulling the right strings.
I think it depends. And here you bring up a good point because it all depends on what you're passionate about and what you agree with. Right? I agree with the puppet master. I think he has a good point because I'm a person who thinks that everybody should be free and they should be able to experience what they want and love what they want and do what they want within reason, right? Yeah. But there's some people who are like, no, they shouldn't. You know, there's trolls out there, like people who are super critics. She likes Captain Marvel and she doesn't even talk about her. Why? That's stupid. You know, there's people who probably think that or say that. Even me. Like, he likes Batman, but he doesn't post any Batman videos. Who cares? Maybe I'm more passionate about something else at this point right now, you know? It's like, just be you. You're unique and you're individual. Why do you have to be like everybody else? You don't. Exactly. Absolutely. There is way too much.
Let's drink to that.
Salute, Summer. Salute.
Saluti a tutti.
Woo.
Yeah, but in a way, I also feel like I'm about to lose my membership card because.
Yeah, Sean's giving the eulogy speech here.
Right? Like, I am not posting constantly about comics anymore. It's not necessarily that it doesn't mean that I don't like it. It's just that it has been consuming my mind so much that I felt like I have to do it because, every once in a while you have to post something, and I'm just like, what, fuck it. And again, thanks to Joe, because he made me realize, like, okay, but, I'm very passionate about Japanese movies. I'm very passionate about this. I'm very passionate about that. And now, bringing it all together. So, yeah.
No, but you're right. What you just said, bringing it all together. I was going to say that, The thing is, comics, like Sean just said in this chat, he was talking about Rick Remender's run with the Tokyo stuff and how it's related to Ghost in the Shell. everything is related somehow to something. You can never find really the source of the creation. Like, for instance, when I was reading Ghost in the Shell again, I just showed you last week that Frank Miller book, Ronin. Remember how I told you about that? Where it's like a samurai and he comes back and he's reincarnated into like the sword with this other guy who has like telepathic powers. That's an American writer's comic book, but it reminded me of a Japanese writer's manga. It's connected. Like, it's
And
all the
talking
movies.
about that,
Yeah.
remember when Scarlett Johansson was announced as Major, and how people were like, but she is not Asian, and she is not this, she is not that. I mean, technically, if you look at the fucking manga and at the anime, Motoko or Major, she doesn't look anywhere near a Japanese person. Blue eyes, for fuck's sake.
That's a good point, though. You know what I want to touch on that too. That was you reminded me of it because I forgot about it until you said that. The thing that's great about this is also what I think Shiro Masamune was trying to talk about. Like you just said, the cover here, she doesn't look very Japanese, does she? She definitely looks more American or European or whatever, right? The whole point of that is, the whole point of the shell is, I don't know, did you ever watch the TV series Altered Carbon? Or read the books Altered Carbon? It's very similar to this premise. Basically, there's this thing in the back of your head called your categorical stack, and it's like your memory. And when you take that out, you can put it in a thing called a sleeve, which reminds me of a shell and Ghost in the Shell. But it's a completely different person, but it has your memory in it. So, like you said, when people were, criticizing Scarlett Johansson for that, the bottom line is it really talks about how we as different societies, how there really is this undercurrent of racism, like how we don't really see certain people from certain places. I'm not saying I am or you are, but there are people who think that way. Like, hey, look, you're not American, so blah, or you're not European, so blah. I mean, the fact is, that's what this story tells. It's all, and I said it a million times already, in here and in here. It doesn't matter if I'm Asian. It doesn't matter if I'm African American. It doesn't matter if I'm white. It doesn't matter if I'm an Indian. It doesn't matter if I'm Chinese, Japanese, Korean, if I'm Dutch, if I'm English, if I'm German. It doesn't matter if I'm Austrian. It doesn't matter. All that matters is, am I a good person at the end of the day? My nationality, all that other stuff falls away. And that's the whole point of the Puppet Master. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just that you know what you're doing, and there's so much out there we don't understand. And instead of fighting each other and pushing each other, like the whole battle in the first movie is between what, Section 9 and Section 6, right? Yeah. Section 9 is a police task force to stop Section 6's bullshit from going on, right? So it's like competing ideologies. That's really it. And that's kind of what, I don't know, I'm not really a big proponent of nationalism. I don't really think that that's a cool thing. It's like, I like that you're proud of your country. I do, but don't say that like other people from other countries shouldn't have the same rights or the same ideals or the same love for their country.
Unless they're German and French.
That's you.
I'm kidding.
There's your
undercurrent coming out. Kidding. Not really. I'm kidding.
Oh my goodness.
But also 47 Ronin, when Keanu Reeves was playing Kai, was also like a shitstorm. But the thing is, with 47 Ronin, is that at that time, I mean, it was kind of funny that there was like, hey, yeah, there's a Dutch boat, blah, blah, blah. But at that time, and still kind of is, when you were like a hafu, as they say in Japanese. So if your mother or father's Japanese and your other parent is something else of another country, whatever, it was kind of like considered a disgrace. So Kai was in this movie considered a disgrace. And I think, of course, Keanu Reeves, I mean, fuck, it's Keanu Reeves. But he was getting a lot of shit for it. Well, I'm like, yeah, but if you really look into the history, you would know that half-foods, half-breeds, whatever, still to this day are not really appreciated. I mean, you do see, for example, like you have particular models in Japan. You have Rola, who is only, I think, just a quarter Japanese, but she's like the biggest model because she doesn't really look Japanese. So it's like exotic in their eyes. You have Kiko Mitsuhara, who is also in the live action of Attack on Titan. But she's also this big ass model in Japan, but she is not even quote unquote Japanese. And it's kind of weird. Am I derailing? I am derailing.
No, you're right. I'm gonna derail some more, so keep going. I got something I want to kind of like springboard off you when you're done. So go ahead, keep going.
So it's kind of weird that it's being accepted when it is for promotional matters. Like, oh, here, this water bottle, you can suck on it. It is very pretty. But if a Japanese person does it, it's kind of like, yeah, it's cute. But when you have like a quote unquote half breed, as they would say, it's just like, wow, so pretty. But yet, if this person goes to school, it's like, you're not Japanese, you're half breed. What the fuck are you doing here? Like, go back to your own country. And it's also, of course, if we're going to talk about historical things, during World War II, when Japan was like, the quote unquote purification of Asia by kicking out all the foreigners that were there, they had a lot of comfort women where they had a lot of children with. And as soon as I just know the stories from like what happened in Indonesia. And as soon as they would go back to Japan, they were either like, can you bring the kid so I can say goodbye to the kid? And sometimes the kid never returned. And sometimes meaning that the kid was just being murdered, because if this person would go back to Japan and be like, yeah, so I laid with a Dutch person, I laid with an Indonesian person or whatever, it's like you're a disgrace to the family.
No, you're right. And you know what? I wanted to kind of piggyback off of that again here. Good points, huh? No, but Kirk mentioned The Last Samurai. And I'm going to talk about this first and then a couple other things. The Last Samurai, yes, he was played by a white dude, but the thing with that movie was, and we talked about this in the 13 Assassin stream and even saw on his trip over to Japan, that family that Algren, the character that Tom Cruise played, basically lived with, showed him so much hospitality and respect, even though he was an outsider, that they made him feel like he actually was a Japanese person. And they gave him the one widow's armor of the samurai who fought in battle, because I will say this about, I like Tom Cruise as an actor. I think he's amazing. And I think, I'm not saying I believe with his personal beliefs or anything, but in the movie, in Last Samurai, he takes that with honor and he is genuinely receptive of it. And he learned. It's funny because in that movie, at the beginning, he's fighting the Japanese and he doesn't really appreciate their culture. However, once he goes there and experiences their way of life, he falls in love with the culture and realizes, like, this is the greatest thing that could have ever happened to me. And he fights on their side as opposed to the people he was originally with. And that's a beautiful story. I love that movie so much. It's an amazing movie. And I also wanted to talk, and I know you're passionate about this too, because we've talked about this, organized crime. And in particular, when I think about that, I think about the Italian mafia, the Cosa Nostra. In order to be a member, like an elite member in the mafia, the Italian mafia, and it's in the movie Goodfellas, if you guys have ever seen it, with Joe Pesci, Robert De Niro, Ray Liotta, that movie, amazing flick, one of my favorites. Love Martin Scorsese as a director too. Joe Pesci's character, he plays a guy called Tommy DeVito, and he gets accepted into the mob because Henry Hill, the guy played by Ray Liotta, there's a quote, and he says, in order to get accepted, you have to be 100% Italian. You have to trace your lineage back to the old country. And I think that that's really cool, because we're talking about how, like you mentioned with, the Japanese and how they do the stuff with the commercials and how half-breed people were kind of looked at. They reminded me of that movie when you were talking about that, because Henry Hill's character, he's Italian, but he's only half Italian. He's half Italian, half Irish. He could never become a made. He could never become a made man. He could work for them, but he could never be fully accepted as a high-ranking member in that organization because he just didn't have the blood, right?
Yeah, usually it's like connected to if your mother was from like back in like the 1910s, 1920s. If your mother was Sicilian, you automatically were like, okay, you're approved. Until like Luciano took over, and he was like bringing in like not Rothstein. What the fuck is his name again? Or was it Rothstein? No,
that's Rothstein. Yeah, it's Ace Rothstein. Yeah. Yeah, you're
And
right.
he brought in like the diversity.
Yeah.
Like, if they make money and they're willing to do it our way, then who the fuck am I to judge them? Like, if they're like, you know, a Jewish person or whatever the fuck their background is.
No, and you're
Which,
right. And it reminds me too of Alexander the Great because I wrote my dissertation piece on that for undergrad and grad school. Everybody hated him because he inculcated Persian people, Egyptian people, Indian people from India into his army to fight for him because he believed in the diversity aspect. He loved it. Where everybody else was like, I just want Macedonians because we're Macedon. His father, Philip II, he was like, I want Macedonians. Nobody else is allowed in the army. Blah, right? He was like, no, screw that. And that's why he had a huge empire by the time he was 30 some years old because he let people be who they wanted to be. This whole thing about Ghost in the Shell. I mean, it ties into everything, even ancient fucking history. It's incredible. You know? Like, that's the moral of the story, really, in a nutshell. It's
yeah.
I know we've exhausted it now to the point of people are like, okay, we get it, holy fuck. But I
Well,
mean,
I hope it makes people, like either read the manga, watch the anime, or watch the live action movie because, I think all of them are great. I mean, fuck the live action movie, the graphics, holy shit.
amazing.
What I really like is that in the 80s they really had this foreseen future, like, oh, like in the future we will have like cars that are like cubes, no round things, and they bring it back in like the new Blade Runner or the Ghost in the Shell movie. They really bring that retro futuristic look, and for that I really love that. As soon as I saw it, like the streets, and I saw the cars driving, I was like, oh man, I just need my Night Rider tune right now.
You know what I love about that too is, like you said, retrofuturistic. It's like a perfect way to describe it because as a human, it kind of splits your mind and like partitions your brain to be like, this is what the future could be like, but it also harkens back to my nostalgic moments as a kid. So you're like instantly attracted to that. And like this fucking movie right here, like seriously, guys, like what Sana just said, this movie is, after watching it again for this, I've seen it many times. It's fucking perfect. It's a 10 out of 10. I think this movie, and I say this on all the streams, has a 96% on Rotten Tomatoes, and for good fucking reason. Like,
Yeah.
all this shit that we're talking about, all the stuff that it influenced, all the stuff that it's reminiscent of, is it's true. It's an amazing movie. And like what Sana said, the way, even the 2017 live action, how that was shot, I'll tell you what, some of the most beautiful cinematography you wouldn't think you would find in an animated movie. But I'll tell you what, watch this. There's a shot that I love so much. It's raining in the city, and there's a shot that's like over the top of a building, and you can see like the puddles, just like the raindrops hitting, and there's just puddles. It's beautiful. Like it's insane to watch, and the way that she turns invisible and cloaks, and when the puppet master and her laying there, and Batu's like cloaking her from the snipers above, and when they're fighting in like that old abandoned museum at the end with that big fucking tank, like, oh my god, it's amazing. But this is 10 out of 10.
Oh, for sure, 10 out of 10.
Thanks, Sheena.
It also makes you wonder, like, if they can create a cyborg, if they can do all that stuff, and you see it happen a lot also in the newer movies that came after Ghost, or even before the anime movie. Can they already do that? Can they already create cyborgs and stuff like that? I mean, they can really put
Yes,
like
they
it
can.
into perfection into these
Yes,
movies, like with
yes, they can
Westworld,
create
for
them.
example, right?
No,
I mean,
there are robots. There's robots over in Japan now that are doing that shit. Like seriously.
right, but that is still like for us child play, right? But I'm pretty sure in some weird ass laboratory somewhere, maybe in that area, whatever, that no one is allowed to come. Maybe there's already like something more evolved that we don't know about. I mean,
Oh,
they can.
I'm saying there is. There has to be. There has to be.
Well, I believe that too. But if you really watch these movies, I mean, they're already talking about this since like what, the 70s, 80s,
Oh,
if not before.
before that, yeah,
Yeah.
like fucking the early 1900s, they were talking about this shit. You know,
Yes.
I mean, there's a grocery store chain here in the States called Martin's Grocery Store, and they literally have a fucking robot called Marty, and he goes around the store and he cleans up spills and organizes merchandise. His name's fucking Marty. Like, I remember when I first walked into my
Like your
local one, and I was
future.
like, "What the fuck is that thing, man? Is it like gonna kill me?" And like, if you misbehave in the store or something, like it'll tell you. It's like, "I will call security." It's like, what the fuck? Or even like
Must
self
break
checkout.
you.
Think about self checkout. Do you have self checkouts over there? Like, I worked as a cashier before. It's like you can now go into a grocery store, get all your shit, put it in a cart, put it on a conveyor belt, scan it yourself, and pay for it and leave without having any human interaction whatsoever. And it's all machine. Insane.
I still remember this one shop that I was working at when I was like 15, 16, and they didn't have like scanning cash registers. Like you had to literally
Type in
type
the
everything in.
UPC, yes.
And there were so many products in that shop, but at
Yes,
one point you memorized all the prices, or you were just
exactly.
like, you were going so fast. But then
Yes.
with all these things coming in, you're being dumbed down. It's like, oh, why would I even think? Like, if I just scan this fucking thing, it will. Oh, why should I think? I could just like look it up on my phone.
It's like we just said, it limits your ability to express your mind and your heart in something. Like, I remember I had a job very similar to that. I actually memorized the numbers like the UPCs. I was like, okay, it's time to, I know it by heart now because I've typed it in a million fucking times, you know? And it's like you said, though, would you rather just grab a gun and go beep or go, let me think here. What was that? Bag of chips. What are they? Lay's? Okay, that's 800467809. Enter. That's 99 cents. You know, like,
Yeah, you memorize everything, and you.
fucking crazy. That's why it goes back to what we talked about earlier in the stream. That's why kids don't remember anything. That's why kids don't read anything. That's why nobody fucking wants to learn anything because you have it right in front of you. It's like, here it is. Here you go. Here you go. You don't need to work for anything. Just take this. Right?
And that's why you should go check out Ghost in the Shell. Any movies that Joe talked about earlier, maybe he will show them again soon.
Yeah.
And also the book like 1984 and A Brave New World. I have to check out A Brave New World, by the way. But I think if kids would just check that out, and if you would just give them one question, which is, do you want to end up like this?
Yeah.
I think you will start reading the whole book, everything completely different, or watch the movie completely different.
Yeah, what Sana said. Like she said, check out Ghost in the Shell. Make sure you guys check out this movie. This is the 2017 version with Scarlett Johansson. Fucking amazing film if you love robots, consciousness, what it means to be a human. If you're thinking about your existence, existential philosophy shit in here, it's fucking incredible. And it's all this, the 1995 animated version is the ideal version for us, right? Do yourselves a favor, check these out because it harkens to everything we just said and more. We can't even fit it in this fucking stream because there's so much shit to talk about in this manga. Sana and I are going to be talking about more of it. There's 2 more volumes that we're probably going to talk about the animated series and the show.
Oh.
And what are we doing tomorrow, Sana?
Tomorrow we are going to talk about a live action movie of a manga.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
What manga? You don't even remember.
Blade. I want to say Blade of the Innocent, but it's Blade of the Immortal.
Blade of the Innocent. No, it's Blade of the Immortal. Yeah. Oh, this manga right here. This is what we're gonna talk about tomorrow, right here. Not the manga, but it's based on this manga, the movie right here.
The manga will happen another time because I got the manga this week. I have to read it, and people, it's going to be so much fun. So if there are any like volunteers that will be like, yo, this one fucking Asian movie, or it doesn't necessarily have to be an Asian movie, but like, or a manga, whatever, that you're like, okay, but I really want to jump on your stream for once, meaning on my channel or on Joe's channel, hit us up. And for sure I will hit up Kirk after this and be like, yo, what are you up for?
Hell yeah. I'm really excited about this because like Sana said, Sana and I, we've been talking for, about a month now. We have a lot of shit in common. And this is like something that we both really, really, really love. Just as much as we love pepperoni pizza, right, Sana? Yeah. And but we're really stoked about this stuff. So like she said, if you guys want to hit us up, please feel free to hit us up. If you guys want to hop on a stream with us and talk about this stuff, please do. Because It's fucking sweet.
Yeah, so on that note, let's start the derailing hour. I'll just send the link into the chat. If anyone wants to join, we'll be on here for just quite a bit, and then we will stop the stream because we're already what? What time were we supposed to start? 10. We were supposed to start almost 3 hours ago. So we're already almost going for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I'll tell you what happened
And
was.
we still haven't hit so many things, actually.
Oh, I know. There's a ton of shit we could talk. That's why I said. I told you earlier it's gonna be like a 4-hour stream. There's a ton of shit. The cinematography, the imagery, how powerful it is, the art direction, the style, the design. Why? What am I underneath? It's like Terminator. Like I'm a human tissue of a meadow and those skeleton like cyborgs. That cool shit, you know. John Connor, you know, it's badass, and that's why I like the second movie a lot too. Like T2. I know a lot of people don't really like that one because it wasn't really horror.
I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really has like Arnold's character, the Terminator, question his existence. Like, who is he? Chill out, dickwad. You know, that's an amazing line. Fucking robot who's Jack and saying chill out, dickwad. That's amazing. And a little kid teaching them how to be a human being. That's so cool. Like, I love that.
Awesome. But I think, you know, as I said, there will be a part 2 of this Ghost in the Shell. I think there will also be a part 3 because I think eventually we will talk about the movie separately, like what we really liked about it. Because still, we have these amazing characters. Like in the live action movies, there is like Takashi Kitano, who's an amazing Japanese actor.
Yeah,
and
Zatoichi. Isn't that Takashi Kitano? Doesn't he play the blind swordsman?
Aramaki, the ape face.
Yeah, doesn't he play the blind swordsman? Zatoichi in the movie.
Yes.
Zatoichi? Yeah.
Oh, we have a winner. We have Sean.
Yeah, what's up, man?
What's going on, y'all? I just want to say this was a great conversation you two had. You know, it went off the rails, but it stayed on topic and related to Ghost in the Shell. You know, and I was bringing up Tokyo Ghost and
yeah,
you know, how
this check it out.
Yeah, this was such a Ghost in the Shell like thing, and it's involved with technology and how people got so hooked on it. You know, the artwork by Sean Murphy is just amazing.
That's sweet.
And you know, this whole universe is just tied to technology. They are hooked up to it. You know, they can't get enough of it. And the main character that you see on the bike, you know, his whole thing is every time he's not fighting or beating people up, he's constantly hooked to technology, constantly getting information from the internet and stuff like that. And when I read this, I was like, there's a reason why he named this Tokyo Ghost, because it's definitely a continuation of Ghost in the Shell. This was very Ghost in the Shell like. So, you know, I just knew that book was so important to bring up in the chat, you know, Tokyo Ghost. And like you said, Joe, there's a lot of things that took inspiration from Ghost in the Shell. You know, all those science fiction movies, Blade Runner, Terminator, all that, all took inspiration from Ghost in the Shell. You know, and look at where we at now. You know, technology rules the world. You know, we can't survive with this little gadget here. You know, all time.
Exactly. Yeah.
Back in the day, I grew up. You know, we get a couple toys. That's it. I had a brother to share with, so you know, I couldn't get all the toys. You know, now kids are getting cell phones in the baby carriage. So it's like,
oh yeah, I know. It's crazy. Yeah, bro, it's crazy. It's crazy, man.
That's why I said kids are getting everything that we never gotten. You know, like my parents wouldn't even give me a cell phone at that young age. You know, like, you kidding me? You know, you gotta earn that. That's what we had to earn everything.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
Why do you need a cell phone? That was like the first question that I got. Yeah, but because like a lot of kids in my class have it.
Yeah, it's that peer pressure, you know, of being in the same class, and you know your friends got all the nice Jordans and stuff, and they trying to say, man, you should get some Jordans. And I was raised. You know, my mom brought me no more than $40-$50 shoes. And then you got kids wanting them $100 Jordans, and I'm like, man, that's too much money, man. I'm gonna stick with 30, 40, 50. I go to Payless and get my sneakers, man. I don't even care.
Payless, man. Hell yeah, me too, man.
I gotta pay less, man. It's pay less. So I'm like, shit, I'm gonna pay as least amount for decent shoes, last a couple of years, then I'll go to the next pair.
Man, Payless was legit though, man. They had some good shit.
Yeah.
For cheap.
Going in there. So that's how I see it. You know, kids today are entitled.
I agree, bro. I agree.
Indeed. Like you really need to. I mean, a lot of people, for example, when you go out to a bar or a restaurant, whatever, you don't see people communicating with each other. They're just on their fucking phone, and it's so sad to look at. They're not really having a conversation simply because they don't know how to.
Yeah, exactly. That's like I said about dating and people. It's like you're in the restaurant with your girlfriend or your wife or your husband or your boyfriend. You're just like, hey, babe, what are you gonna get off the menu? You know. Hey, do you know there's a sale going on at Target? The like, oh, come on, man! Like, have a conversation with your woman or your man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, he could be on the phone with his side chick. Don't even.
That's true. Man. That's true. But that's where the cheating comes in, though, right? And like the relationship stuff, it's not working out because you got somebody else over here on this thing. It's like,
yeah, but it's also, you know, with you got all these dating apps, right? Like you could just swipe, like, no, not good enough, not good enough, all based by looks. Like you don't even know what this person like.
Oh yeah.
What they have to offer. It's just like meh. Well, I would probably do the same with everyone, like me.
Yeah.
I enjoy you two, you know, together doing the show, and that's why I tell you, Sandy, do what you want to do. You know, it don't have to always be comic book related.
Mm-hmm.
I'm enjoying, you know, Friday with Vigilante talking movies and stuff. It's not always about comics. You know, just talk movies and what we enjoy. You know, and I think next Friday, we're gonna do He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. We're gonna talk some Dolph Lundgren.
That's a good flick, man.
Dolphy boy.
So yeah, I'm excited to do that.
That'll be sweet. Skeletor, baby. He-Man. Oh, I love it.
Oh, classic.
It is. It's a great flick.
Catfish. Yeah. Well.
I'm glad I jumped on here for a bit. When you put it in the chat, I was like, you know, I can't resist. I gotta jump on with Sandy. You know, this has been a great.
The railing hour has started.
No, that's cool though. It's like Sean was saying in the chat, and like what we've been talking about. This stuff is related to so much shit. It's like you cannot fit it all into. We could do, I don't know, 10-hour streams, and there'd still be a million things to talk about. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah, no, and Ghost in the Shell transcended a lot. You know, it showed how technology is, how it works, and how it can be something that's a huge negative. You know, and that's why I loved it about that movie. And you know, all the science fiction stuff. Like when you brought up the Borgs earlier, showing that Borg collection, I'm like, you will be assimilated. You know, and I immediately thought of First Contact because that's one of my favorite Star Trek movies. You know,
oh, me too, man. It's my favorite all time. So I love it.
Anything to deal with robots, you know, and stuff. I immediately think when something happens with dealing with technology, I like shit. Skynet is taking over. It's over. It's a wrap. Skynet is taking over.
Oh, you know what's crazy, man? You talk about Skynet. There's actually a weather station here on our local news channel, and it's called Skynet. And every time I watch it, I'm like, damn, you got some Terminators coming here pretty soon, man. The weather outside better be nice, so we're gonna get. If you start seeing electricity and shit out there, you're like, where's the Terminators at?
Look for the naked guy.
And when you see, you know, them actually creating robots, and then you got these voice controls, and what's the box? The Alexa. You know, Alexa stuff. I'm like, man, I don't trust that shit. They eavesdropping, they listening to stuff, you know, recording stuff when I ain't knowing. You know, one guy got busted because it secretly recorded him, you know, killing his girlfriend. That's what So, you know, technology, as good as it is, like we're using technology to have this conversation, it can be a mind fuck, you know, when you really look at it.
Yeah. A complete like invasion of your personal space and privacy too, like you said with the Alexa thing. Like sometimes it's just like it's too much. It's like I need to like get away from it, you know?
Yeah, that's why it's it's always good to at least take a break from it. You know, if you take a break from Instagram, you know, or YouTube, we need that break.
Exactly. Yeah.
Purge our mind from all this.
That's exactly.
And then like a week later, like I remember when I was like, fuck Facebook. I mean, the account still exists, but I was like, no, I'm gonna throw this shit up because I saw my friend. I was telling Joe this earlier that she was like, let's watch a movie, and I'm like, okay, cool. But she would automatic pilot. She would grab the phone and just scroll in the oblivion, and she was like, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And she would put it back, and like 5 minutes later, it's like she had to constantly had the phone in her hands, not even watching the movie. It's just put the fucking phone away and enjoy what you have in front of you. You know, we're here together. I mean, I could be actually just sitting at home now and texting you instead. I mean, if you'd rather have your phone in your hand. But then, you know, as what was Loie just said it? Right. And I think that is also what the stream is about, you know, like any stream, like also Sean's stream, like he brings so many people from all over the fucking place together and we're just having a conversation and it's pretty cool. It's not like we just have a group chat and be like, did you see that movie? Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
cool.
don't want my show to just be, you know, we can talk comics, but I don't want to be just showing off nonstop comics. We can just have a conversation without having it be just about comics and just enjoy it. You know, have fun with it. You know, sometimes we get so caught up in the conversation, we are hour into the show. We ain't even saw a first comic yet, so it's all good.
That's the way it should be, man. That's legit.
Sometimes I totally forget what the entire subject was of this stream.
Yep, it happens.
Well,
Sometimes something else comes into play and you start talking about that over what the topic is.
yeah.
That's what we did today. But it's all good.
Yeah, but in the end, it comes together with Ghost in the Shell, what, you know, what reality actually is. And it's kind of, maybe it's because that's the reason why we don't really understand it, because it kind of hits reality in a way.
You don't understand it until the reality becomes truthful. And then you realize, okay, now I understand.
There are too many movies out there, you know, that hit on these type of topics. And you're just like, wow, I really like the Michael Bay explosion. But then it's like, but they are telling us a story, but is there like a lot of truth in there? I mean, it can just not be like make believe. Well, literally, it is make believe because you at one point start believing in it.
Yeah, it's like subliminal messages.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
That's,
like what do all these symbols mean that they constantly shove in our face, like the pyramids and you know, like what we think is the okay symbol, but we see every single artist doing it with one eye. Like, what does it really mean?
yeah. But,
that's a whole different story. Woo. We are not at home right now for the government who's watching.
I am not at my house right now.
No, this is a green screen.
Bunker. Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay, so I'll go to the comments real quick, and then we will end this show because we're hitting the 2 hours. But as Kirk said, Black Mirror. Yeah, I have seen a few episodes a few years ago, and that was pretty. I think I really liked the first 3 episodes, and then it kind of like lost my focus in a way. But maybe I should have continued.
You should continue. It's legit. It's a good show.
Yeah, but I don't have Netflix, so. And then again, this is Truth Tea.
I'm an open mic.
He was talking about the triangles there with the old National Treasure stuff. That's legit.
Yeah, but also, what's the movie with Tom Hanks that also really touches on that stuff?
Da Vinci's Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, Inferno. That stuff. Yeah, good stuff.
We're going down a rabbit hole. Yeah, Kirk, you know what's up. Wink, wink.
Yeah, is that really a green screen behind you?
It is. Actually, this is not me. This is a.
I knew it.
That reminds me of the Schwarzenegger movie. What is it? The Sixth Day? Did you guys ever see that? He's like, if you're me, then who the hell am I? Such a great line. I love that flick so much.
Yeah, man. Him and Michael Rooker, that was awesome, man.
Yeah, it was badass, dude. I loved it. Such a good
man.
Oh my god. But thanks for everyone showing up today. Thank you, Sean, for popping in. It's almost becoming like it wouldn't be a complete stream if Sean isn't here.
It's never a complete stream unless Sean's in the house, man.
And of course, Joe, I have to figure out. Thank you.
Where you at? Oh, there you are.
I'm gonna have to get Joe on my show for at least an hour before he come on here. One day.
Yeah, man. I'm down.
Ooh,
I'm down, bro. Thank
you. Yeah.
So thank you, everyone. And hopefully see you tomorrow at Joe's channel. I also left in the description box the previous streams that we did on 13 Assassins and A Man from Nowhere. So episode 1 and episode 2. Tomorrow, episode 4 of
CinemAsian.
Blade of the Immortal.
not Blade of the Innocent. Blade of the Immortal. It's all good. As long as you watch the movie. Just make sure you watch the movie. It'll be good.
I'm coughing. I should stop. So see you maybe tomorrow, and if not, well, see you next week, hopefully. So enjoy your weekend, and see you next time.
Peace, Sean.
Bye.
See you, bro.
Yo.
Later.